This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. This week is episode 2 in the series about videos and why HR consultants should be using video to market themselves and their HR consultancies. Now, last week, we talked about why video matters. We talked about the fact that there's visibility, trust, reach, engagement. Overall, it helps with the sales process. It helps with getting leads, clients, sales, and profits. So hopefully that was a useful episode. Thank you for listening along. If you did listen along, if you haven't yet managed to check it out, then do make sure to check it out because video is super important for you. And we dove, is that the right word? I don't know. We dived deep into it. Now, this week's episode is not the how-to episode. That's going to be coming next. This episode is all about what's been holding you back or what might be holding you back, i.e., why you are not doing video, why you might not be doing video, why you might be reluctant to start using video. As a quick teaser, though, I talked about the fact that I'm going to be doing a 14-day video challenge. I am going to share some information with you about how you can go about doing your own 14-day video challenge too. But for now, let's talk about today's episode. Let's talk about, well, the fact that we know that video is powerful. And almost everyone knows that by now. Well, you should know that because you will have heard last week's episode. If you haven't, as I say, go and check it out. But we also know that knowing that something is important doesn't mean that it gets done, right? We all know that we should be eating healthily. We all know that we should be eating more fruit and veg, less donuts, crisps and biscuits and cake. But just because we know something doesn't mean that it actually happens, right? So in that sense, the fact that we know that video is super important for us doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing it. So what gets in the way? Why are we not doing the videos? Why are you not doing videos? And yeah, they're going to come down to the fact that there are fears around videos. There are myths. There is self-doubt. And that's what we're going to tackle today. So hopefully by the end of today's episode, you will see how most of the beliefs that you have about video are either false, manageable, or simply not as important as you might think. Okay, so let's get cracking. Fear number 1. This is what holds HR consultants back. Why would anyone care what I've got to say? Let's kick off with the biggest one, the most common fear that holds people back from creating content, creating video content. And this is classic imposter syndrome. You might be thinking, I'm not saying anything new. Other people have already covered this. There are HR consultants out there with more experience than me. But here's the truth. You don't need to say anything new. Your job isn't to invent. Your job is to explain, to clarify, to show how you personally help people, to bring your lens, your voice, your energy, your experience, you. Because here's the thing, people don't follow information, they follow people. So there are loads of HR consultants who can share the same facts, but only one of them has your take on it. Only one of them sounds like you. Only one of them has your personality. And people buy people. If I wanted to let me give you a metaphor for this. This is a trusted guide. Think about it like this. You are not trying to be the smartest person in the room. You're trying to be the trusted guide. So imagine you're in a foreign city, you're lost, you're overwhelmed. You don't want someone shouting complex directions from a balcony. You just want someone who calmly walks up to you and says, come with me, I know the way. That's what your ideal clients want. Not someone with all the answers, shouting them off, someone who can just show them the way in a calm, confident tone that they understand. So if you're stuck thinking, why would anyone care what I have to say? Flip it, because your audience does care. They just haven't found you yet. And when they do, they'll say, I like how you explain things. I get it when you say it. You make this feel doable. And that's what builds trust. That's what builds business. Not shouting louder, not trying to be original, but showing up clearly, consistently, and confidently as you. Fear number 2 is a big one. It is, what if people laugh? What if people judge me? What if people disagree? And this fear, this keeps so many HR consultants silent, especially the ones who know their stuff but can't bring themselves to say it on camera. Now, I had a client once who was stuck like this, and every time she sat down to record a video or to share some content, her mind went to worst case scenarios. What if people think I'm stupid? What if I say something wrong? What if I make a mistake? What if people don't like me? So I bought her a copy of a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. I don't know if you've heard of this book. It's very popular. It's a really great book. It's getting advertised all over Manchester city centre at the moment for some reason, even though it's a very old book. And the reason you should check it out, by the way, it's a fantastic book. But the reason that I got my client a copy of this book is because the message in the book is exactly what she, and maybe you, need to hear. Here's the big idea. You're responsible for your own actions, not other people's reactions. That's what the book is all about. You are responsible for your own actions. So in the book, they call it the separation of tasks. Your job is to show up, share your message, and help your audience. What people choose to do with that message, whether they love it, ignore it, or criticize it, that's not your task. That's their task, right? And it's also not something that you can control. And once you really understand this, once this message really resonates with you, sharing video content becomes so much easier, because suddenly it's not about trying to impress everyone or avoid every bit of criticism. It's just about doing your part. It's about doing your task calmly, clearly, and consistently. So let's normalize this once more. You know, the what if people laugh, judge me, or disagree. According to a YouGov poll, public speaking is the third most common fear among British adults, right behind height and spiders. So if the idea of putting yourself out there makes your palms sweat, you're not weird. You're completely normal. But here's the thing. Most of that fear, just like the fear of heights and the fear of spiders, it's in your head. So let's break it down. Worst case scenario, you create some content, you share it. Worst case scenario, nobody watches it. That's it. You post something, it gets ignored, life goes on. You're still breathing. Your clients will still love you. Nothing bad actually happens. What happens if someone criticizes? What happens if someone doesn't like it, etc.? Fine. You've got 3 choices. You can laugh it off. Not everyone's opinion matters, right? And you certainly shouldn't have everyone's opinion. You shouldn't be taking it to heart. Otherwise, well, that's a bad path to be going down. But I shared a post the other day talking about, in fact, one of my podcasts about Reddit. Someone commented and said we shouldn't be on Reddit, blah, blah, blah. I've left it off. I've ignored it because, yeah, whatever. My message was, is this an option for you? And that's all I wanted to say with my podcast. Is Reddit an option for you? Is that something you're interested in? Someone wants to say no, that's absolutely fine. That's their opinion. It's not a fact. It's just their opinion. Alternatively, if someone criticizes what you shared, you can take it as feedback because maybe there's something useful in it. If you've shared a message and somebody is saying, oh, you can improve it with this, or you've overlooked this, great. Maybe there is something useful. Maybe you can improve, for want of a better phrase. Your third and final option, if someone criticizes your content, delete the comment and move on with your day. Just delete it and move on with your day. Whatever happens, however you decide to deal with someone's criticism or them laughing at you or whatever else, whatever happens, you won't die. I promise you. No disaster, no scandal. Just confidence and content that moves you forward. And ultimately, best case scenario, someone watches your video and thinks, finally, someone who gets it. They follow you, they message you, they become a client. So something for you to consider if you want to scope this out yourself, write 2 quick lists. On one side of the piece of paper, you can write all the good things that could happen if you regularly show up on video. On the second half of the paper, you could write down all the bad things that you're worried about. Now look at the bad list. Most of it, it's either unlikely, irrelevant, or completely manageable. In fact, you've probably handled tougher things this week. So feel the fear and do it anyway, because when you do, that fear shrinks and your pipeline, that starts growing. So get that content out there. The third fear that holds HR consultants back from recording content, it has to be perfect. It has to be professional. Now let's talk about this. If your thought is, if I'm going to do video, it needs to be perfect, it needs to be professional, and you know the kind of content I mean, the YouTube videos with 4K cameras, slick editing, music, transitions, they all look amazing. If when you see that, it's easy to think, well, my stuff doesn't look like that, so maybe I shouldn't bother. But here's the truth. You are not creating a Netflix documentary. You're not building a studio production. You're just showing up as yourself. And that's what people actually want. Your leads, your clients, your audience, that's what people want to see. So this belief that your content has to be polished and perfect, it's the thing that's stopping you from sharing your brilliance, right? So let me put it another way. To get a first at Cambridge University, right? The best university in the land and the best degree possible. You know what you need? You need a 70% grade. That is a top academic qualification in the UK, 70%. So if that level of performance, 70%, is enough to impress the top academics in the land, it's more than enough for a LinkedIn video, right? And the good news is you're already over 70%. Because if you're an expert and you plan out what you're going to say, you'll naturally be clear, useful, and helpful. You'll easily hit the mark of 70% and definitely go beyond it. And if you need proof, just imagine this. If I asked you to list the 12 things a manager should consider before dismissing someone, you'd rattle them off, no problem. Probably even throw in a few more. That's your zone of genius. That's your 70% or better right there without scripts, slides, or edits. So stop aiming for 100% because it'll never happen, especially because while you're sat there trying to be perfect, someone else is showing up at 8% and getting all the attention, all the leads, and all the clients. So remember, people buy people. Personality builds trust. I mean, look at me. Look at my podcasts that I share. You know, I stumble, I backtrack, I correct myself. May even do it a few times during this episode. Oh, just did it. But you're still here. You're okay with it because, you know, I understand and you understand that's real. It's human. You know, numbers are perfect 100% of the time. And that's all your audience wants from you. They want real insight and they want the real you showing up and sharing your knowledge. Okay, number 4, let's talk about one of the most common excuses out there. I just don't have time to create video content. I don't have time. Does that sound familiar? Now, you might be saying, I'm busy with clients, I've got the kids, I'm running to a networking meeting, I've got too much on, blah, blah, blah. And listen, I get it. Time is tight. There are only so many hours in a day. But here's what I've learned. I don't have time. That's often just a polite way of saying, I don't want to feel uncomfortable. I don't want to get outside of my comfort zone. The excuse isn't really about the clock, the lack of time. It's about fear. Fear of messing up, of not knowing what to say, of being judged, etc. Everything that we've already talked about. It's a reassuring lie we tell ourselves so that we can stay inside of our comfort zone so we don't have to do the uncomfortable thing. But if I offered you £1 million to film a 5-minute video today, you'd find the time, wouldn't you? Let me ask you that again. If I offered you £1 million to film a 5-minute video, you'd find the time, wouldn't you? Exactly. So let's do the maths. You sleep 8 hours a night, that leaves 16 waking hours. If you truly can't find 5 minutes to record something useful for your audience, then what exactly are you prioritizing instead? Let me give you a different way of looking at it. You'd happily spend 3 or 4 hours going to a networking event, booking it, getting ready, driving there, attending it, coming home, etc., etc. And often, you know, you can go to these networking meetings and come away without a single lead. Now compare that to spending 30 minutes creating one solid video. And that video, that lives online forever. It can be seen by dozens or hundreds or thousands of people over time. It can bring in leads for you while you're asleep. It can be referenced in future conversations, emails, or DMs. It builds relationships while you're not even in the room. That's the power of evergreen content. It works for you more than any coffee and pastry ever did in a networking event. And now I do this with my podcast episodes. Even if only a few people listen in a given week, I can still link back to it months later and say, hey, I made an episode on this exact problem. Have a listen. That's leverage, and it starts with 5 minutes. So here's what I want you to try out. Book a 30-minute slot in your diary this week and call it camera time. No pressure, just show up. Think about a common client question. Chat to ChatGPT if you want help framing it. Then hit record on your phone, talk for 5 minutes, upload it, done. It doesn't need to be perfect, you just need to get started. The next concern or fear or belief that holds HR consultants back from creating video content is that I don't have the tech or setup. And I get that, it's a very common one. But here's the thing, you've got a 4K camera in your pocket. You know, your phone is right there, it has one of the best cameras in the world. You don't need ring lights, you don't need microphones, you don't need editing tools. In fact, you know, AI can do a lot of the editing for you. All that you need is a clear message and the courage to hit record and then share. Now, we'll cover the exact how-to in next week's episodes in terms of the tech and the setup, but it's not that overwhelming. Honestly, as I say, you've got everything in your pocket that you could possibly need to create the best content possible. You've got your phone. Just sit there, pull it out, talk to it for 5 minutes. Easy peasy, just launch it. So what I want you to take away from this is that clarity beats camera quality every time. As long as you know what you're talking about, which you do because you're an expert, because you've got all the qualifications and the CIPD and the experience of doing HR, you can share your quality content. Just pull out your camera phone, hit record, hit share, job done. The final fear or belief or myth that HR consultants might have with videos is, won't this undermine my professional image? Or AKA, does using video really fit with HR? Now, this fear might not always be loud or obvious, but it's very real, especially for HR consultants, because, the idea is that you are professional, you are compliance driven. So you might not be thinking videos unprofessional, but you might catch yourself thinking things like, I don't want to look like I'm trying to be an influencer. HR is a serious topic. I'm not sure how video fits with that. I've always been behind the scenes. This just feels a bit much. What if I say the wrong thing and people take it out of context? Now, these are subtler signs of a deeper worry. If I show up on camera, will I still be taken seriously? And let's be honest, most HR consultants, we are trained to be neutral, measured, objective. We're not taught to be the face of the business. We're taught to support the people who are. So yes, putting yourself out there, it can be a bit weird at first. It can feel a bit weird at first. But here's the thing. The world's changed. These days, people don't trust faceless brands. That people trust people with warmth, presence, and confidence. And video doesn't make you seem less professional. If anything, it shows that you're confident in your expertise. You're willing to guide people through difficult situations, and you're approachable and clear in your communication. You don't need to be dancing on TikTok. You don't need filters, jingles, editing. You just need to show up calm, helpful, and real. And you can share anonymized stories. You can add quick disclaimers if needed. You can speak to the camera exactly as you would on a Zoom call with a client. So here's the test. If you were thinking to yourself, should I be saying this on video? Would you say it in a face-to-face meeting? If yes, then it's probably perfect for video. If no, then don't say it. But no, video won't make you look unprofessional. It will make you look human, confident, and trustworthy. And when people trust you, they hire you. And that's it. That's today's episode. Today, we have talked about the fears and myths that stop you from using video. we've unpacked the 6 biggest fears holding HR consultants and flipped them all on its head. As a summary, let's reflect. Number 1, why would anyone care what you've got to say? As we talked about, you don't need to say anything new. You need to just say it in a way that only you can. People follow people. Your tone, your examples, your personality, that's what makes the difference. Number 2, what if people laugh, judge me, or disagree? Well, as we talked about, fear of judgment is normal, but worst case scenario, no one watches. You'll survive. Best case, you'll win a client. Either way, you're in control of how you respond to any criticism, to anyone judging you, to anyone laughing, to anyone disagreeing, etc. Number 3, you are concerned that your content needs to be perfect and professional. Now, as we talked about, Cambridge University, the best university in the land, only requires 70% to award a first, the best grade possible. Well, what does that mean to you? It means forget about being flawless, just be useful, be real, be you. And remember, 80% done beats 100% perfect every single time. The 4th factor which might have been holding you back is the common excuse of I don't have time. And what you really don't have time to waste is not marketing. So we talked about this in the episode. You can film a 5-minute video faster than you can drive to a networking event, and it'll keep working for you long after you press upload. The 5th concern, you might not have the right tech or setup. As we've talked about, you've got a 4K camera in your pocket. You don't need fancy gear. You just need clarity and courage. Hit record, speak from the heart, know what you're saying, hit share. And the final concern is, won't this make me look unprofessional? And we get it. I get it. HR is serious. But video doesn't need to make you look silly. You don't need to be dancing around on TikTok or anything like that. Video is just your way of being a human being. You're being clear, you're being confident, and in a crowded industry, that's what your clients are craving. They are craving you to turn up and be the guide that they are looking for. As a final takeaway, all these fears are understandable, but none of them are valid reasons to stay invisible. Your audience is out there, they need your help, and they won't find you if you keep hiding behind Canva carousels and generic posts. So hopefully this episode has been useful. In the next week's episode, we're going to be getting into the how-to. We'll talk tech, setup, scheduling, and what to actually do when it's time to hit record. You'll see how simple and low friction this can be once your mindset's sorted, which after this episode, hopefully it is. So all that remains to be said is thank you for taking the time to listen along. I hope you found today's episode useful. And in the meantime, get marketing, because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Paninsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.